So to get started with the Breakout game, you should look over the code. You should be somewhat familiar with this. You've used this layout of having a starter, brick starter. We've called it various things, but starter and a board. And the board has a paint method. We've seen that before, where you can draw shapes and whatnot. And we are going to use an oval for to represent our ball on the screen, and we can use a rectangle for our paddle, and for any of the bricks for that matter. And to you have any kind of interaction, you can use this key pressed here, and I kind of put in comments. You can test this out if you want to uncomment that out. The message will print to the screen, and so you can see what keys are associated with what keystrokes on your keyboard. And down here, if you take a look at this, you see you have, you don't need to touch anything here. Actually, the only place you really need to program is in the paint method, outside of making a few variables. But this controls the frames per second. You might want to alter that. That would be the only thing. If you make it a smaller number, it would actually go faster because this is kind of the animation delay. So the paint method gets called basically about 10 times per second, or somewhere in that range, because it's out of milliseconds, and that value was 100. And so dividing 1,000 by 100, that's how many times per second your paint method is getting called. And so that creates your animation. So if I was to use this for the ball, I can uncomment that out. And I get red here because I didn't create these variables yet. So up top here, we do have an X. Let's create a Y, and we'll make Y equal to 10. I'll make the X equal to, actually, let's make it like 20. And then we'll make our R for the radius to 20 as well. And so, we also need to give a color for this. So I'm going to set the color. I'll set that color to red, let's say. That, and then we're going to go in here, and I'm going to run the program. And we should get to see the ball appear at the top left of the screen. Yep, there we go. And notice that this is the message that I had uncommented out. And see, if I click, I'm clicking the arrows. The up arrow is 38, down arrow is 40, right arrow is 39, 37 for the left. So that might come in handy. Maybe you want to use the left and right arrows to control a paddle on your screen. And so if we go back here, we can get that ball moving in motion by creating, let's say we want to create a, we'll say int Vx for velocity x, and we'll make that equal to 5. That's just random, 5. Vy, say equal to 8. Just making these numbers up. You can do whatever you feel is comfortable. I prefer to make a separate method. So I'll say public void move ball. All right, and in here I'm going to say x equals x plus Vx, right? And you could do the same for the y. Y equals y plus Vy, right? And then we could call this in the paint method. We'll call move ball. All right, save, and let's run that. So it's going to go down the screen, and it should just go off the screen, but we want it to be able to bounce around. So we need to do, we need to make some parameters to safeguard the ball from going off the screen, right? And we actually have, see up here, we have our board width and our board height, and so we can actually use that to our advantage. I'm going to just comment out this and just get it working on the x-axis, but the same would apply for the y-axis. I'm going to say if x is less than 0, right, that would be going off to the left of the screen, or x is greater than board, oh, I need two caps, board width, then our velocity, we want to change the direction, so we'll say velocity equals velocity x times -1. And that should do it. Save that. Let's run that, and we should see it bounce off the walls. I need to speed this up a little bit. Come on. All right. So, and that went in here because the X is in the top left-hand corner of the, so I actually should do, you could make that here, it'd be X plus R, so X plus the radius, so that, you know, once that's greater than the board width, then it would come back. And so, like I said, the next thing you could do is create a rectangle. I'll just do this real quick, but I'll let you guys figure out how to make this move using the keystrokes. And we can make it, we should have like a RW for the width, RH for rectangle height, right? I didn't create these variables yet, but I should up here. We'll say int R width equals 100, let's say, and then int R H equals 20, something like that. The X and the Y, though, we want to put that down. We should put the, you know, have an X and a Y value for this as well. You know, rectangle X, rectangle Y. So, int rectangle X could be board width divided by 2, something like that. And then int rectangle height, I'm sorry, rectangle Y should be, it should be near the bottom of the board. So we should do board height minus, let's say 40, and that might, you might want to tweak that, but that'll be down near the bottom of the board. Save that and run that, and we have our paddle down there. And actually, I think I might even want that up a little bit more so it's not like right against the bottom, but you kind of get the picture. And then, you know, you can, again, just use, I made a move ball, make a move paddle, and you only need the paddle to move on the x-axis. So you can use the same kind of things, like whenever you, but you want that to generate from your, in this area here, you can test if one of the keys was pressed. Like 39 is your right arrow key, and you can make that affect the X value for your paddle to move it to the right or the left. So I'll let you experiment with that, but this should get you started. Please let me know if you have any further questions.